Monaco 2015. The last race we saw, and one that was truly a spellbinding event. And the lights are out and away we go. And Perez is down on the left hand side and he's trying to go around the inside of us. And that's just not possible. He's caught Stevens up as well as catching Hulkenberg up. And as you can see, look at this train. Now this is Roberto Merri leading this train from about 14th, maybe 13th, 12th place. Merri was holding up pretty much the entire grid, but I don't know how he didn't get penalties. But as you can see, the engineer just said there how we're faster than the cars directly ahead of us and behind us. And because pretty much everyone else is in the train, that means the man of Will Stevens is the fastest moving guy on track. But as you can see, look at all these incidents that happened, you know, lap 31, 32, the start of lap 33, and we're in 5th. And as you can see, as Valtteri Bottas leading the pit, and now we're leading, well no, we're not leading, but I'm just so excited I don't know what to say. Lap 33, and we're in 4th place. But that doesn't really matter. Verstappen short 17-year-old getting a podium. What's equally brilliant is the manner which barely made it to a 2015 grid with Will Stevens, the Brit driving, has finished in 4th here in Monaco. Monaco was a far cry from the Will Stevens we saw right at the end of 2014.
He's the new boy, a lot to learn for him. A lot to learn.
But here we are for the next race in Canada, and that's no stranger to epic races itself.
And Hamilton under investigation for that first corner in. Will Lewis Hamilton get another drive-through penalty? What do you think?
Well, I think in that case, there's no question if you see a McLaren's touch.
So, it is a red flag situation. So Jensen up the inside of Fernando. Fernando says, you're not coming through there. And Jensen said, well, you watch this then. I am coming through.
I think Vettel's got wide.
Yeah,
he's got wide.
He turned in too late. He got the tyres. Button leads the Grand Prix.
And interestingly, both of those races had Brits defying the odds to do well. So with all that to bear in mind, what can happen in Canada 2015? The sun was out here in Canada for the start of the first qualifying session here at this beautiful venue. And this all set the scene for an incident at the start of Q1 in which Felipe Nasr ran into the back of the front wingless car of Max Verstappen, temporarily destroying both of their sessions. Similarly, Sebastian Vettel was also caught up with Verstappen at the start of Q1 for the same reason as Nasr. Meanwhile, Lewis Hamilton had a trouble-free Q1 which saw him easily make it through. The cars eliminated at the end of Q1 were Merri in 20th, then the star of Monaco, Will Stevens, then Button, then Maldonado qualifies in 17th after, again much like in Bahrain and Spain, he failed to make it out of Q1 on the prime tyres. Finally, the other McLaren of Fernando Alonso will line up 16th for tomorrow's race. The second qualifying session got underway with Verstappen getting involved in yet more incidents. He was stuck in the wall of champions, which harmed most people's laps in the early part of the session due to the yellow flags there. And at the same time, the Red Bull of Daniel Kvyat spun after leaving the pits, which put a dent at the start of his session. Hamilton was able to not get involved in any of these incidents himself, and so qualified 5th on the prime tyres, which he'll have to start on tomorrow for the race. The cars eliminated from Q2 were Sainz in 15th, then a shock elimination of the Williams of Bottas, then Perez in 13th, next was Ericsson, and finally 11th is the troublemaker for today, Max Verstappen. Q3 was rather uneventful in comparison to the previous two qualifying sessions, and saw Hamilton take pole by 1.9 seconds from his nearest rival. This is extreme domination from Lewis Hamilton, and while his nearest challenger Sebastian Vettel was held up on his lap by the Williams and Massa, it still foreshadows a potentially dominant race for the Brit. The aforementioned Felipe Massa qualifies 3rd, with Hamilton's teammate Nico Rosberg down in 4th, and Vettel's teammate Kimi Raikkonen down in 5th. But the question looming after this session is, with Hamilton being so dominant in qualifying, can that carry on to the race? Well, let's find out. So here we are on the grid for the Canadian Grand Prix, starting in the prime tyres, because obviously those are the tyres we used in Q2, which does mean we do have a performance disadvantage, but you know, we were so dominant in quali that might not matter, and we're still on Legend AI as I have been all season, so I don't know what's going on there. But anyway, the lights are out and away we go, and as you can see, we've got off the grid a smoking start there from Lewis Hamilton. And Felipe Massa might make a move around the inside of Hamilton. He isn't quite able to do it, and now it looks like Massa's going to be taken by Nico Rosberg. But Lewis Hamilton still held first, behind or in front of Sebastian Vettel, and ahead of Nico Rosberg in third. Now that's quite weird because we're on the prime tyres, so we have got a performance disadvantage. But Sebastian Vettel and Felipe Massa are both on the prime tyres as well, so we're all in the same boat, whereas everyone else is on the option tyres. And this is an incident which came at the start of lap 2 with Grosjean trying to pass Kvyat, and Kvyat has put Grosjean into the wall there. And now Grosjean has lost his front wing, but let's have another look at this incident. Let's try and work out what happened. So Grosjean tries to go down the right-hand side of Kvyat, and Kvyat, you could argue Kvyat left should leave Grosjean more room, but Grosjean also kind of turned into Kvyat weirdly and set up his own demise. But as you can see now, Grosjean is holding up all the cars behind him, because there's the other Red Bull of Daniel Ricciardo, and Grosjean's not letting these cars through. And look, he's just put Ricciardo into a spinning situation there, and so now Grosjean, he's slowing himself because he's got no front wing, but he's also holding up everyone else behind weirdly. But now coming on to the end of lap 5, start of lap 6, with Nico Rosberg now in second, because obviously he's on the option tyres, so he's got the performance advantage there. Let's have a look. The gap to Rosberg is just over 2 seconds, which is weird because you assume Rosberg should catch up to Lewis Hamilton, as Rosberg's in the same car but on the quicker tyres. And now here's Kimi Raikkonen passing Sebastian Vettel, so this is a move up into third place of Raikkonen, and Raikkonen's just put him into the wall there, although they did lock wheels, but Raikkonen's put both of them into the wall there, and luckily none of the cars have damage, so they've both got away from that. Now here's a replay from Fernando Alonso. I think we could guess what happens here, but let's just have a look. So he's just driving along, and bam, just disappears. So that is another car retirement, or a car failure retirement for Fernando Alonso, as we've seen in Malaysia, China and Spain. So this is his 4th one of the season, which is appalling retirement for Alonso, especially as Button hasn't had any car retirements. But as you can see, coming into the start of lap 10, the gap between Rosberg is pretty much the same as it was a few laps ago. But now coming on just a lap later, and let's have a look at the gap to Rosberg. It's increased by a second, and obviously the prime tyres won't degrade and fall off the cliff as quickly as the option tyres, but the option tyres seem to have gone off the cliff, and how Rosberg hasn't been able to catch up in that time is spellbinding. But let's have a look at this incident between Maldonado and Sainz. It looks like Maldonado's trying to pass Sainz, and it's the same incident really as Kvyat and Grosjean. Yeah, it's the same incident, just Maldonado tries to make a move around the outside, doesn't work. You know, it's a 50-50 incident, and Will Stevens is now going to get caught up in this, because Maldonado is parked on the middle of the track. Now, Will Stevens had nowhere else to go, because Maldonado is parked sideways on the track. Stevens has now lost his front wing, and how he was miles ahead of Merry. He was about 15 seconds ahead of Merry, but that deficit is just gone now. It's going to go in Merry's favour. And now this is a move up into second, so Kimi Raikkonen is going to make a move on Rosberg. And this shows how slow Rosberg was, because Rosberg was several seconds ahead of Raikkonen. Raikkonen's caught up now, so really it shows Rosberg was slow, because he couldn't catch up to us, nor could he keep ahead of Raikkonen, weirdly. So it means Raikkonen's now in second, and we're lapping some of the cars which got into these incidents. As you can see, Grosjean got into that lap 1 incident, or lap 2 incident rather. Let's have a look at the gap between Hamilton and Raikkonen, if it shows up in time. It didn't show up in time, well, I mean, that shows how far ahead we are really. And I think that's Nico Rosberg who went to the pits. I think we just saw on the map that Nico Rosberg went to the pits on the end of that lap. So that means Sebastian Vettel temporarily is third, because he fell quite a way behind Raikkonen and Vettel. But now Raikkonen's going to the pits. I didn't even check that on the map, but now it says Sebastian Vettel's in second, so Raikkonen's going to the pits, and it said Massa just briefly went into third there. As you can see, Massa is now in third. So the 3 prime runners, who started on the prime tyres, but as you can see, 22 seconds ahead of Vettel. So really, Vettel's kind of one of our main challenges this race, and he's 22 seconds behind us. But we're going to fit on the option tyres. These tyres are going to last us to the end, and really, I don't see anyone who's going to challenge us, because we were several seconds ahead of Rosberg and Raikkonen, and they're on the slower tyres now, so I don't see how they're going to catch up. Vettel's 22 seconds behind, and really, it's the dominant racer Hamilton already, because there's no one near him as we exit the pits. And now as you can see, Rosberg and Raikkonen have passed Vettel. Now Vettel's going to the pits, but hopefully Vettel on the quicker tyres will catch up to those two, you know, come later on in the race once he's able to use the performance advantage of those tyres. But really, as I said, this is a dominant race. There's no one near him. As you can see on the map, Rosberg and Raikkonen are miles behind Hamilton, and really he's got the race win sewn up already. But this is Felipe Massa on the prime tyres. Now he's coming into the pits, and really he hasn't been able to make the prime strategy work. Unlike we, because Massa, you know, he's going into the pits, and already, you know, he was about to be passed by Rosberg and Raikkonen, so effectively he's a pit stop behind. And really, he hasn't been able to make these prime tyres work for him, unless he's super quick in these option tyres now. This ain't going to work. But as you can see, this is the battle for second place, which was heated beyond belief. Ever since around lap 10, the battle for second place was heated. As you can see, Rosberg's made the move on Raikkonen there, so now Rosberg is now the new second place man. It looks like, unless Raikkonen can make the move back past Rosberg, and he's going to try around the outside. And Raikkonen, has he? I think Rosberg might have held it around the outside. Although Raikkonen, is he going to push Rosberg into the wall? No, not like with Vettel. He has been able to keep Rosberg out of the wall. And Raikkonen now looks like he's the new second place man. Although Rosberg could take it, but no, Rosberg's going to slow it in behind. So now Rosberg's going to try and make the move from third into second. And has he done it? Has he kept out the wall of champions? Just about kept out the wall of champions, and now Rosberg is in second place there. Now here's the funny thing. That lap, the game said Rosberg made an illegal overtake on Raikkonen, so let's have a look. Now, does he take all four wheels off the track? And I don't think he does. If anything, Raikkonen does, to be honest, but I suppose maybe just about Rosberg did. But the game gave him a legal overtake and a 5-second penalty. So it really means any battle between Rosberg and Raikkonen is now pointless, because Rosberg's got a 5-second penalty. And Vettel's made the move from 4th into 3rd. Obviously he's on the quicker option tyres, whereas Rosberg and Raikkonen are on the prime tyres. And Vettel has now made the move and is into 3rd place, and now he's just got to get past his teammate. And it looks like he's going to, obviously, he's going to have the DRS on his teammate. And Vettel's easily going to make the move, although he's chosen the outside line, which is a bit of an odd one. But I suppose it was the racing line, and as you can see, Vettel's made the move on Raikkonen. It shows that starting in the prime tyres is definitely the preferred strategy. As you can see, it worked out brilliantly for Lewis Hamilton. As you can see, he's lapped everyone up to 10th, although once he laps Nico Hülkenberg, he's lapped everyone from 20th to 9th. But, I mean, what a dominant performance from Lewis Hamilton, really. The track just seemed to play to his advantage, and so did the tyre strategy and everything. It was such a dominant weekend for Lewis Hamilton, because Sebastian Vettel's in second. He's about 25 seconds off. But as you can see, Lewis Hamilton's kept out of the wall of champions for the 35th time this race, and he's going to take the checkered flag to win the Canadian Grand Prix. What a dominant weekend for Lewis Hamilton. So here we are on the podium. Sebastian Vettel takes second and Kimi Raikkonen takes third, only because of Nico Rosberg's very controversial 5-second penalty. Definitely wasn't deserved, as we saw. I don't see how Rosberg made a legal overtake, but apparently he did. It means Raikkonen's going to take to the podium, which Rosberg has rarely done this season. I think he's done it once or twice, because he's got caught up in so many incidents, like all sorts of crashes and incidents he's got into, and even this race he got involved in another incident and generally was just slow, not keeping up to Hamilton. That shows how slow he was. And as you can see, there's no, we got 2 5-second penalties. Of course, I forgot actually. Rosberg apparently got 2 5-second penalties there, which I don't see how. That wasn't deserved at all. Massa, who also started on the prime tyres, came 5th, so I suppose that's not too bad of a performance for the Williams, especially as he's not too far behind Rosberg there. And as you can see, any interesting results further down the grid? I don't think so. Although Mary did finish ahead of Pastor Maldonado, which is very impressive for the Manor to finish ahead of the Lotus there, with Fernando Alonso being the only retirement. So onto the driver's table, and really there aren't that many changes from the previous race. Hamilton's still leading and has just extended his lead, and then both Ferrari boys are second and third with Vettel ahead. One of the few moves is that Rosberg is clawing his way up the table, because despite only finishing 4th, which is quite shocking for the Mercedes, he has gone up from 8th to 6th in the tables, overtaking both Red Bull guys. And as you can see on the second half of the drivers' table, there's no changes at all. The only change is that Nasser scored 2 points this race, so he's gained 2 points, but he still hasn't been able to overtake Will Stevens after his brilliant 4th place in Monaco. On to constructors, and it's exactly the same standings as it was before, but of course Mercedes have caught up with their 1st and 4th place this race, so they've caught up to Ferrari. Williams are still firmly in 3rd, with Red Bull, quite a few points behind, and really there's no one else that can really challenge the top 4, as Lotus are the best of the rest in terms of points, with Manor still ahead of Sauber and McLaren thanks to Will Stevens' points in Monaco. Finally onto the nations table, and Finland are still leading the way by quite a way. Germany is 2nd and actually did very well, obviously, with Hülkenberg 9th and Vettel 2nd and Rosberg 4th, so it was a good day all in all for the Germans. Australia, obviously, with Ricciardo past Kvyat, because obviously Australia and Russia just replicate Ricciardo and Kvyat's point standing, so Ricciardo has once again got ahead of Kvyat, with Sweden still the only nation not to have scored points thanks to Marcus Ericsson. Anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and trust me, I can tell you this race was done on Legend AI, the entire season has been. I don't know why I was dominant, I honestly can't tell you. But anyway, I'll see you next time for the Austrian Grand Prix, a very similar track to this one. So does that mean we'll be dominant there? I honestly hope not, for the sake of a good race. But I guess we'll just have to find out when that episode comes out. So I'll see you then.